Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you are a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, we're really glad you joined us and we hope you like what you hear. So, our podcast is for people that want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. So, in today's episode, we're going to cover a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I call it a to don't list. And it's the antithesis, the opposite of a to-do list. Now, all of us love to make to-do lists, but what a lot of us don't do, most of us don't do, is think about what is it that I do now that is unproductive that I should just quit doing. And this is something that I learned a long time ago because in my career, I've kind of been like a Mr. Fix-It. So I am pretty good at solving problems. I'm pretty good at relating to people. I'm pretty good at staying calm when there's pressure. And so they would take me and put me in a store that wasn't operating well to fix a store. Or they would take me and put me in an apartment that wasn't operating well to fix that department. And in many cases, I didn't have practical experience in the job they put me in, meaning I took over a private label group one time. I had absolutely no private label experience. You know, if you go to the store and you see store brand apple juice or store brand cornflakes, I took that job over at a company one time, and I knew nothing about that business. But again, pretty good at solving problems, learning quick, and blah blah blah. So my whole point is, one of the things I noticed is that when you get into different areas, it could be your life, it could be your professional life, it could be your personal life, you wind up kind of task saturated, right? You've got a whole bunch of stuff that you do all the time. And rarely do we look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for us to do. I was a buyer at the same company. That's how I started there. I was a buyer. And this was back in the days of old green bar, dot matrix reports. So almost nothing was online. You had to literally go through reports to get the information that you needed. And every morning at like 6 a.m., this van would show up with boxes and boxes of reports. And there was a small group of us, 3 or 4 of us, that were there at 6 every day. And we would tear through those reports. We would stack them up. We would sort them by buyer, by administrator, by whoever. And then we would go do our work. Well, I'd been there about 6 months. And I was like, I got all these reports that come in every day. And the reality is there's only 2 of them that I pay a lot of attention to. And I was successful as a buyer. I kind of figured out a good approach to this company and delivered really good results. And in a buyer's world, really good results are high service levels, low inventory levels, fast turning inventory, so you're making good use of the company cash. You're providing good customer service through your service levels. You've got good relationships with your vendors because you communicate with them. And so I'd kind of figured out a way to do that. And a couple people came to me and said, "How do you do this?" And I said, "These 15 reports that you work every day?" They're like, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Yeah, throw them away." I said, "There's only 2 reports that I work every day." And they're like, "Well, I have to turn that report into my boss." I said, "Don't do it. Deliver the results, and your boss isn't going to care about those stupid reports. Those reports are an enabler to deliver the result that we're trying to deliver. So if you deliver the result, nobody cares how you do it as long as it's legal and ethical. Nobody cares. So just deliver the result, and you can stop doing all this wasted time, needless, in my opinion, needless bullshit." And it worked. Like, a lot of people went that route. A lot of people were really happy, and we delivered really good results for the company. So think about it that way. Success sometimes, a lot of times, isn't about what you do. A lot of times it's about what you don't do. So if you want to control your weight, what should you not do? Eat shitty food. Eat too many calories. It's really that basic. That's all it is. We complicate it with, I got to nail my macros and I got to do a food journal. And like, all those are great if they enable you to control your calories so that you consume less calories than you burn. That's how you lose weight. That's the only way you lose weight. It's not magic chemicals in your body because you're fasting. Can it help some? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out. It always has been, always will be. So you got to look at the bad habits or the things that you do that you want to eliminate. And that's what our episode is about today. Using a sports analogy, when you look at good teams, if you look at a good NFL team, you'll notice they don't fumble the ball a lot. They don't throw interceptions a lot. They just don't make mistakes. They don't do anything so great that anybody else can't do. They just don't make mistakes and beat themselves. They make you beat them. And it's hard to beat a team that's doing everything right. That's it. It's basic. So it's not as much what they do as it is what they don't do. So we're going to give you 5 reasons why this is important, and we're going to give you 5 tips on how to do it. So that's the episode today, the to-don't list. Learn how to stop doing things that are not productive, and that's going to give you time to do all of these things that we always want to do. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to learn to speak French. I'm going to do whatever. If you're going to do those things, you need time in your schedule. Where's the time going to come from? We argue it should come from the unproductive things that you currently do that you should just stop doing. And so that's what we're talking about today. So why? Why should you do those things? First, time's finite. That's rule number 1. That's reason number 1. You only get 24 hours a day. Time is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you're a multi-billionaire or you're homeless. You still get 24 hours every day, just like everybody else. And what you choose to do with those 24 hours is almost entirely up to you. And you could say, well, I got to go to work. I got to do this. Yeah, but you choose to. You choose to do that. And you choose where to work. You choose how you work. You choose when you work. Those are all choices that you make. So you get 24 hours a day. Should you, knowing that, spend 2 hours on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, your gaming, Netflix, doesn't matter what it is that a good use of your time? Maybe sometimes it is to decompress, to relax, to clear your head. Maybe that's how it works for you. And if that works for you, that's great. I would argue that there's a ton of screen time that happens mindlessly as an avoidance to not do the things that you know you should be doing, but you're avoiding them by doing something that feels good right now. You get the dopamine rush from viewing what you're viewing, or you're getting likes on your profile, or whatever the case may be. And you could be learning a new skill. You could be working on that book we talked about. You could be at the gym like we talked about. You could be doing any of those things, but if you don't stop that habit, you don't have the time to pick up the habit or develop the habit that you want to pick up. So how can you do that? Let's just use the social media issue. How do you stop or limit your use on social media? A couple ways to do it. One, you can just set a timer and say, you know what? I'm going to look at Facebook. I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes, and that timer goes off. I shut it down and I get back to work and I get focused on what I need to be focused on. Or there's lots of apps out there that say, you know what, during these hours, I'm going to set this app to block my access to these sites that cost me a lot of time. There's all sorts of things out there now to stop or limit your use of those apps if you're struggling to do it on your own. No judgment, no harm, no foul, but there's a way to do those things. But the whole point is you only get 24 hours. Make the most of those 24 hours and focus on those useless, non-value add activities and figure out how to limit those or cut those out of your schedule. So that's tip number 1. Time is finite. Use your time judiciously. You should think about time like money. Would you spend $20 to do this? Would you spend 20 minutes to do this? That's the mindset that we think will help you be successful. Reason number 2, very similar, but a different resource. Energy is limited. Energy is a finite resource. You only have so much energy. You only have so much willpower. And we would argue willpower is not the key to success. Habits are the key to success. Now, do you need to exert some willpower at the beginning to start and form a habit? Sure you do. But it's actually the daily activities that you undertake every single day that make the difference between you getting where you want to be or not getting where you want to be. And if you need to change those habits, that's where you want to spend your time and energy and resources, not on non-value add activity. So what's another example of a non-value add activity? Forget the social media part, because I think we've all heard about that. And I think most of us agree we should take a hard look at our habits there and make sure that we're not unnecessarily spending a whole bunch of time or effort on those things. Number 2, complaining or gossiping. Useless. It does you no good. It doesn't make you feel better. It doesn't solve your problems. Once you're done complaining or gossiping, you've drained mental energy, you've drained physical energy, you've drained emotional energy, and you're still right where you were when you started bitching and moaning or complaining. Doesn't help. Not useful. So what can you do instead? When you feel yourself wanting to go down that road, flip it to gratitude, right? We did an episode called Think the Opposite. When there's a whole bunch of things that are killing you, focus on just knocking out tasks. And when it's all the little minutia that's killing you, step back and focus on the big picture. Same concept here. Instead of complaining or gossiping or whining, replace it with gratitude. When you find yourself in those situations, stop and say, I'm going to think about 3 things, or I'm going to say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for. Or I'm going to write them in a journal, or however you do it. The whole point is to flip the mindset from bitching and moaning about stuff to being grateful for stuff, and you'll be shocked at the difference that has in your mental energy. Because remember, energy is another precious commodity. It's another precious resource that you have a finite amount of it every day, and how you spend it is going to impact the trajectory of your life. Reason number 3, and we talked about this earlier in this episode, habits shape your identity. So you're not what you wish you were, you're what you do every day. So what you do every day, that defines who you are. So if you have a bunch of unproductive habits, you're going to be an unproductive person. It's real basic. So if you have productive habits, you're going to be productive. And so you want to replace inaction with action, but you want that to be intentional action on the right things that will help you move towards the goals that you've set for yourself. And look, the goals are great, but we've talked about this before. Every year, every NFL team, their goal is to win the Super Bowl. The team that wins the Super Bowl didn't just set the goal better than the others. What they did was they took action every day during the offseason, every day during the preseason, every day during the regular season, every day during the postseason to put themselves in a position to be successful. It was those daily habits that took them where they wanted to be. And so when you find yourself not acting, right? So you've got inaction, you want to replace it with action because it's those habits, it's taking action on those habits that's important. One of the ways to do that is to start the 2-minute rule. You think about all the little shit that happens in your day and you say, oh, that won't be hard, I'll just get to it later. What if you just killed it dead right now? What if you said, that's going to take less than 2 minutes, so I'm going to do it right now. And I'm never going to have to think about it, worry about it again. I'm not going to have to move the email from one spot to another in my inbox. I'm not going to have to write myself a note to follow up on it. It's just done. So if you use a 2-minute rule, start with that. See how it goes. See where it leads you. And that might lead you to a whole different organizational system that you use. It might lead you to a whole different planning system to use. But it'll get stuff off your desk. It'll get stuff knocked out that you don't have to worry about anymore. It'll improve or increase your productivity, and it'll make you feel mentally, physically, and emotionally better. We guarantee it. Okay, reason number 4, and this is an economics term, and we have a degree in economics, so we feel very qualified to talk about this. There is an opportunity cost to everything you do. So if you are talking to someone, you can't be talking to someone else. If you are eating lunch, you can't be working on your report. If you are at your kid's ball game, you can't be home or at the gym, right? It's a statement of fact. You can only choose to do one thing at a time, and that means you're using that opportunity to focus on that one thing instead of other things. That's just how things are. And it's important that you're intentional about how you think about those opportunity costs. It's no different with money, right? So if you've got $50,000 saved and you say, you know what, I want a cool new car. Okay, that's great. But if you go buy the cool new car, you can't invest that $50,000 and make a return on it. Maybe you want to buy the cool new car. Maybe that's important to you. Great, do it. Maybe you want to invest and get the return. Great, do it. The whole point is you should be intentional about making those decisions. The way to do that is to pick the unproductive things in your life and limit them or get rid of them so you free up time for the more productive things, because that opportunity cost can get expensive. So if you watch TV for hours instead of reading, instead of networking, instead of preparing for reports, instead of creating content if you're a content creator, instead of writing if you're a writer, instead of learning the music if you're a musician, instead of practicing if you're an athlete, right? There's lots of things you could be doing, but there's a cost to taking that time out, and you need to be cognizant of that cost. And you need downtime, right? And so that's one of the tips here is intentionally schedule downtime. Pick an hour or two every day where you say, you know what? I'm not going to do shit during this hour or two. I'm going to relax. I'm not going to think about anything. If I want to watch television, I can do that. If I want to scroll social media, I can do that. Whatever you do during that hour or two, it's yours to do what you want. And then the rest of the day, you're going to be productive. You're not going to let those things creep in because you've carved out that time to be the downtime that you're looking for. You've carved it out so you can re-energize and recharge your batteries, because there's an opportunity cost to every single thing that you do. So don't forget that. Okay, now reason number 5, mental clarity and focus. So unproductive habits let you kind of sit and think and ruminate and stew, and that creates anxiety, it creates uncertainty, and it creates kind of a weight on your shoulders. So they clutter your mind, they make it hard for you to focus, they make it hard for you to prioritize, and that's not good. So, we've talked before about multitasking on this channel, and nobody can multitask. What multitasking actually means, if someone says they're a good multitasker, it means they're good at stopping what they're doing, moving to something else quickly, accomplishing what they need to accomplish on that, and then reshifting their focus back to the original thing that they were doing, and quickly maintaining or picking up their focus on that. That's what they mean when they say multitasking. We would argue it's better whenever possible. And look, the world is real. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes you're laser focused and your boss comes in and says, hey, hot potato, we got a call from a customer, we have to work on this project. You got to do what you got to do. But when you're able to, practicing single tasking is a great way to resolve this issue. And use tools like time blocking, setting time apart on your calendar. Maybe you go somewhere else. Maybe you get out of your office so nobody can find you. And you say, you know what? For an hour, I'm going to work on this spreadsheet or on this report or on this research, whatever the case may be. But that mental clarity and that focus is going to be so helpful for you. And if you're able to carve times like that out during the day, you'll be amazed at how much you can get done if you just do that. Even if you did it 3 days a week, you'd be shocked at how much you can accomplish during those blocks of time that you've set aside to intentionally focus on being productive. So, what are some other examples? We've got some other examples in here of habits or activities that you can limit or stop completely. Habit 1, constantly checking emails. This is one we're very guilty of. We probably check our email 300 times a day. I don't think that's an exaggeration in any way, shape, or form. And I know you say, hey, well, if that's, 10 hours, you're saying you check your email 30 times an hour every 2 minutes? Probably. It's not good, but that's what we do in general. So batch it. So you know what? I'm going to check emails at 10, 1, 3, and 5, or whatever. Set it up the way it works for you. But if you set that up, it'll stop you from shifting your focus and then having to refocus again on what you were doing. Impulse online shopping, right? Some people really struggle and say, oh, I'd like that. Buy it, click. I like that. Buy it, click. Instead of doing that, set up a 24-hour rule and say, I can buy whatever I want a day later, but I'm going to take a day to think about it, and I'm going to decide if I actually want to buy it or if it was just an impulse that hit me because I was looking at that particular website. Use a 24-hour rule and say, I don't care what it is. I'm not going to buy anything until I give it a 24-hour cooling off period. That's a good way to prevent or stop a lot of impulse online shopping. Step 3, eating junk food. So a lot of times junk food is a way to procrastinate. It's a way to delay attacking something that you don't want to attack. If it's just about nutrition, great. The easy thing to do there is just prep meals. You could take every day off. You get 2 days off a week, let's say, or you take 2 hours every week and you say, you know what? I'm going to chop vegetables. I'm going to create my own meals. I'm going to package those. I'm going to put them in the fridge or the freezer so I don't even have to think about it. I can just reach in and grab a lunch and I can go. And I know I've got a healthy meal with real food, the right amount of calories, the right nutrients for my body, and I don't have to worry about stopping at a McDonald's or a Wendy's or whatever it is that you do. And then just keep junk food out of your house. Just say, I'm not going to buy chips. I'm not going to buy cookies. They just don't come in my house. So those are good ways to do that. Skipping exercise is another one. So if you're procrastinating on that, just start short. We've talked about it, or start small too. We've talked about just go to the gym. Just go there for 2 minutes. Don't even work out. Just say, I'm going to go to the gym every day this week. I don't care what happens. I'm going. Even if you don't work out, you're developing a habit that you go to the gym. And believe it or not, if you set that, you'll find that you'll actually work out when you get there. Because you'll be like, this is silly. I'm already here. I should do something. But even if you just set the habit up so that success is driving into the parking lot, you'll be shocked at how different your mindset is when you get there. And then the last one is negative self-talk. So happens a lot. We get down on ourselves. We worry. We think about things too much. We overthink things. And the way to counter negative self-talk is with positive affirmation or gratitude. So every time you feel yourself getting negative, every time you feel yourself start to spiral, every time you feel yourself getting focused on or obsessing about something, take a step back and think about 3 things you're grateful for and truly think about them. Picture the sights, the sounds, the smells, the touches, the tastes, if those things apply, to the things you're grateful for. And it will help you refocus. And then we love the cleansing breath, right? The cleansing breath is a great one. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Big fans of the cleansing breath. That's a great one as well. So that's our argument for today, guys. Make a to-don't list. We all put together to-do lists. We all have these grandiose plans of, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start doing that. Where does the time come from to do those things if you don't start eliminating some things from your life? So pick the unproductive, unhealthy, or non-value add things and focus on getting those out of your schedule, getting those out of your system, getting those out of your habit patterns. And you will be amazed at how much more time you have to focus on the things that you actually want to focus on. So that's the episode for today, guys. Really appreciate you joining us. This episode's going to air on a Friday, so we want everyone to have a good weekend. Don't forget, James puts it up over here every week, or every episode, I'm sorry. And go to our website, saltygingertalk.com. We've got all of our podcast episodes there. We've got links to our social media accounts there. And we've got a newsletter that we publish every weekday that you can subscribe to there. We get a little snarky, we get a little sarcastic, we pick 3 or 4 events and give a little advice at the end of the newsletter as well. I think it's a fun 5-minute way to start your day that is worth checking out. So if you want to subscribe to that, you can do it on our website. Also, like, comment, share, subscribe our podcast on whatever platform you consume it on. It's super helpful for us if you're able to do that. Everybody have a great weekend. Keep your heads up. Keep staying on the attack. Get after life. And we will see you next time.